I'm gonna build this base out of colored pencils. So it's somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 colored pencils. Stack them up in a wooden tray and put some dowels over them so they don't float, which is super important. I learned that the hard way. I made 2 of these trays because I couldn't fit them all in one. Now got my epoxy all mixed up and poured it into both of my molds to make some pencil blocks. I took the big block over to the table saw and ripped it in half because it was too wide to fit through the planer. Sent all the blocks through the planer to make sure they've got flat surfaces, and then I took them over to the table saw and ripped them into strips so that each color was separated. Then I took those strips and clamped them on a straight line jig, which I used to cut them into individual wedges. And my idea here was to stack the wedges together to sort of make a burst pattern for the body. Glued all the wedges together, and because of the way I set this up, I was able to just put a clamp on the middle wedge to apply pressure throughout the block. Let that dry and then ripped off the edge with a circle saw so that I could fit it in the planer and plane it down to reveal the colored pencil leads. Brought that over to the bandsaw and got it roughly cut out to shape, and then I mounted the template onto it so I could bring it over to the router table and route it exactly to the shape of my template. I also carved in a belly cut as well as an arm bevel just to make it a little bit more comfortable to play. And then I peeled the tape off and coated the entire body in a thin layer of epoxy. Placed it into a little dam that I made, and I poured a layer of epoxy over the entire thing to give the top side a glass-like finish as well. And then I mounted on another template, which is about a 1/16 inch bigger than the previous one, and routed the sides to shape again. And this basically leaves me with a uniform 1/16 inch layer of resin around the entire body. I did have to recarve the belly cut and arm bevel, but once again, I carved them down to where there's just a thin layer of resin on them. Worked on getting all my pockets routed for the neck and electronics. I plugged some hardwood dowels into the bridge mount area so that it gives the bridge something sturdy to screw into. Sanded down the entire body to get it ready for a clear coat, and then sprayed on multiple layers of 2K urethane. Wet sanded that, got it polished, and added all of the electronics and hardware. I tracked my hours for this build because I know a lot of you have been curious in the past, and it ended up taking about 80 hours of physical building time, which I would say is a pretty average time for a build for me. That also includes building the neck for this base, which I posted a video of yesterday. As always, there will be a demo at the very end after the final reveal.